So if I was a new investor, what would you advise me?
Okay, so this is a different question. Okay, I want to know the biggest problem. This is such a great question for everybody. This is the question that you are asking, and it's the wrong question. I'm going to teach you how to ask this question the right way, and I'm going to teach everybody else to ask this question the right way. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk the basics of real estate. What I want everybody to understand here, we've got Jose, one of our videographers and editors. We've got Zach, one of our great editors. We've got Kiki, who is head of social media. Now, I want my team to get trained on what we do and why SubTo and our community is so powerful and so amazing. And what we have to understand is the basics of real estate to understand why we're so special, okay? So for example, if you grew up in LA where all the beautiful people are and all you saw was beautiful people all day long, you would go to Oklahoma and be like, wow, what happened to the human condition? Okay. I don't know. I haven't been to Oklahoma, so I can pick on Oklahoma. When I go to Oklahoma, I'm gonna be like, I was wrong. I'm sorry. But you get the point, right? However, if you were born in Oklahoma, you would go, wow, these are my people. These are my beautiful people. Then you go to LA and you'll go, what have I been missing my whole life? That is the difference between traditional real estate and creative real estate. Creative real estate is LA, the beautiful people. It is unbelievable how beautiful creative finance is. Traditional real estate is kind of like Oklahoma. Boring. Corn. No mountains. No rivers. Humidity. Did I mention boring? That's traditional real estate. So we're going to talk about what traditional real estate is and why should you care about traditional real estate. So when we get into deeper lessons in the future of creative finance, you'll go, oh my gosh, why would anybody do traditional real estate? Well, it's because they were born in a traditional real estate environment. They were not exposed to creative finance. And so what they think is beautiful or amazing, they just haven't seen the light of creative finance. So we're going to highlight what traditional real estate investors do today. Does that make sense? Okay. So there's basically 4 things you can do in real estate to make money. Okay. Let's go to my desk, Trevon, if you don't mind. There's 4 things you can do in real estate. Now, these are umbrellas. Okay. These are big, big, big umbrellas, but I'm going to categorize these. Category number 1 is I can wholesale. Okay, that's a category or an umbrella. Okay, I can wholesale. Number 2 is I can develop. Category number 3 is I can hold. That would be like holding a property in my portfolio. Category number 4 is some sort of service. Okay, so these are our umbrellas. You guys can't see my screen. I'm so sorry. I wish you guys could, but everybody else on recorded land can. Wholesale. Awesome. So these are the 4 ways I can make money. I'm going to jump into these categories very briefly, but let's just talk about them for a second. Okay, cool. What's a service? Let's start here. What's a service? Being a real estate agent is a service. Being a transaction coordinator is a service. Being a gator is a service. Bird dogging is wholesale. Okay, I'm a participant in a wholesale transaction. Okay. Developing would be fixing and flipping. Okay, regular fix and flip. Or how about building new homes?
There's contractor too, Ron.
Contractor would be here, service. Okay. How about title company?
Yeah.
Okay, see how these are not the owners of the real estate transaction? These are supporters of these. So really the real estate investor can do these 3. This is the real estate investor side. I'm an investor. I can do these things. I'm a service provider. I do these things. Okay. Awesome. So buy and hold. Let's buy and hold. Wow. This is probably the most broad one of all time. Give me a buy and hold strategy.
Renting.
Okay. Renting is also a very, very generic phrase, my friend. What can I do underneath renting? How about, can I do assisted living? Right? Old people. Could I do sober living? People that are on drugs or getting off drugs? Could I do a battered women's shelter? Women, did you guys know that exists? No. There's a massive industry just inside of our community that does battered women that have had to flee people that are abusing them. The government will help them get back on their feet. That's a massive ordeal. Have you guys heard of Section 8?
Yes.
Okay, what is Section 8? Section 8 is I buy and hold a piece of real estate, and the government helps pay for a portion of the rent.
It's ran down property, right?
Not really. Can be, but yes. Okay, another one is HUD-VASH.
Never heard of that.
Okay, HUD-VASH is Section 8 for veterans. Okay, what about co-living? Co-living is renting out by the room, right? By the room renting. Am I going too fast?
Yeah.
Assisted living, sober living, women's shelters, Section 8, HUD-VASH, co-living, okay? I could go so long on this. How about Airbnb? Isn't that a form of buying and holding?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that one, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Okay, Airbnb, I'm holding a property and I'm renting it out, right? What else is there? Okay, midterm rental. You guys don't know, we don't talk a lot about midterm rentals. Midterm rentals is where I'm renting out a house to, let's say, an insurance company.
Is it like leasing a house? Like how you lease a car? It's for a period? It's midterm?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, you're leasing the property to a very specific type of person. Who are you leasing it to? A midterm rental, not a long-term rental. So regular rental that you guys know today, those are called long-term rentals in our industry. Short-term rentals are Airbnb. Midterm rental are like, did you guys, when you drive into my neighborhood, do you see the house that was burned down last year and you can see them working on it and there's a fence in front of the house?
Yeah.
Where do those people live while that house is being built?
Okay.
Midterm rental, right? The insurance companies primarily will book houses similar to that one because that house got burned down, and that insurance company will pay a way more inflated rent payment to accommodate that type of client. Make sense?
What houses would be for like people relocating?
Relocating would be midterm rental. Yeah, so like, let's say a company says, hey, you're gonna, like, you just moved here from where?
Dallas.
Okay, so you just moved here from Dallas. So a lot of companies, I don't know if our company did that or not, but a lot of companies go, hey, Kiki, we want you to move from Dallas to Arizona. We're going to put you up in a midterm rental for 3 months until you find an area you'd like to move to, more permanent. Make sense? Now, for a midterm rental, do you think the tenant or the landlord who owns that midterm rental, are they charging a lower rent or a higher rent for the accommodation of a shorter duration of rent?
Higher.
Higher, that's right. Because if I'm a landlord, okay, that's what I am here. My role here is to be a landlord, okay? Long-term rental is easier for me because I get people to sign a 12 or a 24 or a 36-month lease, and I don't have to worry about carpet paint and bull crap for 36 months until you move out. But if I have to go and clean the property and do touch-ups on a midterm rental every 3 months, you better know I'm going to charge a lot more money on a midterm rental. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, I could go on and on and on. A lot of these are also RV parks. Okay, RV parks are also a buy and hold. You've got multifamily is obviously a buy and hold. Now, it gets even more diverse. Multifamily, Section 8. Multifamily, HUD-VASH. Multifamily, sober living. I have a property in, who was it? Adler and I just went out to Big Spring, Texas. I have a 12-unit apartment building that is 100% Section 8 people. I call that a super Section 8 property. Do you see how diverse this really can be?
If
All
we
right.
move on, what would you consider the one where people rent out rooms?
That's co-living, okay? So right here, co-living or rent by the room, co-living,
All right.
okay? That's what Maddie's doing to get off the street, okay? There's advantages to all of these things. Now, why do I call the SubTo community a community rather than a mentorship or a coaching program? If I was a mentorship, I would only teach one of these stupid things. Okay, there's a lot of stupid mentorship programs out there that teach only Airbnb. Think about all the crap that you can't learn because you went and joined a stupid Airbnb program and they charge $10,000, $15,000, or $20,000. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want a community of people that are all doing a diverse set of things, and I'll teach you why that's the case later today. That will be one of the biggest reasons why you understand I built a community, not a mentorship. Okay. And you'll hear me hammer home on this and people go, oh, we're an Airbnb community. Okay. So you guys all do the same stupid thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you'll understand how stupid that is in a little bit. Okay. All right, cool. So I could go deeper and deeper in this. I could spend 5 hours maybe just on this topic, but you understand buy and hold.
Yeah.
Okay. Develop, right? Let's go on develop, right? I could fix and flip. I could build new. I could tear down and rebuild. Right? So you guys kind of saw the car washes that we're doing?
Yeah.
What would be the car wash out of these three? What would be the car wash opportunity for me? Am I going to fix up and flip existing car washes?
Mm-hmm.
I'm building new. Probably 90% of what I will buy will build new. And you're going to understand this is going to start getting into why we built a community. I'm going to tear down and rebuild probably 10% of them. I'll get existing car washes that are like self-serve car washes with the wands, you know. I'll buy those, tear them down, and rebuild them into new. Okay. Also, you could do like add-ons, right? So you could develop, you could buy, let's say, an existing RV park. I have an RV park right now, and we're going to add another 40 sites to this RV park, and we're going to develop it, and then we're going to go and sell it off to somebody else. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Wholesaling. This is really interesting. Okay. Bird dogging, actual wholesaling, direct to seller wholesaling, direct to agent wholesaling, direct to referral wholesaling, orbit program. There's a whole bunch of ways to wholesale as well. Now, let's say that I'm Pace and I want to go and build new car washes. What is something that I need in order for me to start building new car washes?
Land.
Land. Where could I find that land in this beautiful community that I've built? Bird dog or wholesalers that are direct to seller or direct to agent looking for land, right? There are literally wholesalers that only work on land wholesaling. There are wholesalers that only work on co-living. There's wholesalers that only do cash wholesaling. There's people in our community that only do SubTo wholesaling. There's wholesalers that only do Morby method wholesaling, which is an exit strategy we'll get into another day, months and months down the road. So there is such a diverse way to wholesale. Okay. So for me, if I'm part of SubTo, all I have to do as a land developer is go to all the land direct to seller wholesalers, which we'll talk about a little bit today. And I say, hey, guys, I need land. Now these wholesalers, why does the direct to seller wholesaler who's working on land, why don't they go build the car washes instead of just wholesaling?
A lot of overhead.
Right. They might just, okay, so who's the best rapper alive?
Yeah, I know who you was.
Who do you think? Oh, it's not Kanye. I'm mad at Kanye right now. We should all be mad at Kanye right now. Anybody have a rapper that you really like right now?
Jay-Z.
Okay, Jay-Z is hard to beat, right? I love Jay-Z so much. I could listen to that Black album 1,000 times. Trevon, what's your favorite not Black album, but favorite rap artist?
Lil Wayne.
I love Lil Wayne. I love Big X the Plug right now because he's been doing all these collabs with all these country singers, and I'm like really into those playlists. Okay, are any one of us wrong?
No.
No, it's just what you are into, right? Now, Jose, what's your favorite rap artist? Do you have? Don't say Eminem, bro. It's too cliche, dog. Slipknot? Are they still around, bro?
Yes.
They might even be coming back right now. Okay.
If I had to say rap, I would Kendrick Lamar or Nas was pretty safe.
Okay, love it. Okay. My point is, just like rap has such a diverse set of people in that community, we in our community have a very diverse set of people. It sometimes comes down to personal preference. It also comes down to lack of risk or a massive amount of risk adversement. They want to advert themselves away from risk. Okay? Wholesale really doesn't have any risk. Building requires risk. You're now managing contractors, dealing with permits. It's kind of a big boys game, right? You start elevating into some of these things. It also complicates your life. So you kind of have to go, I'm willing to get kicked in the teeth. I'm willing to go down this road for a larger payoff. Meanwhile, these people over here go, you know what, dude, I'm good making $300,000, $400,000 a year wholesaling. And my life is very simple. I work out of my garage. I literally work 3 hours a day. I'm happy with that, right? It doesn't mean anybody's wrong. It just means the people will find out what attracts them to these things. I'll tell you things I never want to do. Okay. Some things I don't like. I used to own 6 sober living facilities. I sold them all. I hated sober living and assisted living. It's not my thing. Okay. Why? At the time, I was not good at managing teams. This is 6 years ago. I then hired really good teams. I would probably take an assisted and sober living facility on right now. Maybe, but I'm not looking for them anymore. I just wasn't ready. I would get calls in the middle of the night. Hey, Mary Beth died. Can you come down here? I'm like, it's 2:00 in the morning, right? Does that sound fun to you?
No.
Meanwhile, we have people in our community, SubTo, that focus entirely on assisted living, focus entirely on sober living, because these are things they're hyper passionate about. They might have had a family member that was abused in a assisted living facility, and I could name 25 members in our community that are focusing on all of these things. And by the way, this is maybe 10% of how deep we could go. We could go super deep, like inside of assisted living, there's also behavioral health. There's mental health places. There's, what do you call that? It's ironic that I'm forgetting this. Dementia. Isn't that ironic? So there's dementia places where people literally with dementia underneath the umbrella of assisted living, but is that not still buy and hold? If I wanted an assisted living facility, but I don't want to go find them, I just want to get one and hold it, maybe what do I need? Maybe a wholesaler that can help me find that?
Yeah.
Do you see why we built a community rather than a stupid assisted living mentorship?
Would you say too there's something to like not taking on 500 things at once and just specializing?
There's something... So Zach's question was, you think there's something to just kind of focusing on one thing at a time? Yes. In the beginning of my journey, I was a wholesaler and a single family investor for the first 6 years. That's all I did. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Like, where do these deals come from? Where do they start? Where do they go? And if I'm a Section 8 investor, why am I at a disadvantage versus somebody who just says, I'm an investor? Okay, which is like, wait, what? Section 8, all of these, I want you guys to understand, these are exit strategies. What is an exit strategy is how I make money on it. How do I place it in sober living is an exit strategy. If I say, hi, I'm in sober living, does that tell me how I found the house? Okay, so that's an exit strategy. It's how I place it in my portfolio, exit the deal, right? Exit strategy sounds like I'm getting rid of the house. It's a stupid thing. But if I tell you fix and flip, that is also an exit strategy. Fix and flip is also an exit strategy. If I say I'm a fix and flipper, does that tell you where I got the deal from? It doesn't, does it?
No.
If I tell you I'm building new houses, does that tell you where I got the deal from? The land, the money?
No.
If I tell you I'm a Section 8 investor, does that tell you where I got the deal from? No. So people, this is what's interesting. This is why I think that mentorships are stupid, because I've been a part of them, is you will go join a Section 8 mentorship, and you know what they don't know how to do is teach you where to find the deals. They say, here's how you get financing. Here's how you go manage a Section 8. It's like, okay, but where do I get the Section 8 house? In our community, we have about 7,000 wholesalers in our community that will literally just bring the deals to anybody that wants them, and they get paid a fee. Then the transaction coordinators will do all the paperwork for that. Then the gators will bring the money for that. You see how this is now a community or more of a full economy? This was my vision from the very beginning. I didn't want to be like, hey, we're fix and flippers. Okay, I've been part of fix and flip groups before. They all are sitting there going, so like, we're all trying to sit here and fix and flip. Does anybody know how to find a fix and flip? Meanwhile, in our community, people are posting fix and flips all day long and saying, hey, who wants to buy this flip from me? I'm ready to wholesale it. Do you see how we built a community of people that rely on each other to make money?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So We've got wholesale, we've got develop, we've got buy and hold, and we've got service. Service, let me see. There's going to be a couple of other things you're going to see in service. So you've got contractors, title companies, gators, transaction coordinators, agents, banks. Okay, banks, that's a little bit different than gators. Gators are individual people. Banks are big institutions. Okay, that's a service provider, and they play a role in all of this stuff. Okay. Also, we could go into like CPAs, bookkeepers.
You can throw in videographers in there for real estate.
Yeah, you could.
I mean,
Why not?
Service provider.
Right? Videographers, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Are we all on the same page? There's 4 ways to make money in real estate. It's basically it. So whenever you meet a SubTo member, you go, what do you do? And in your mind, you start compartmentalizing. Okay, are you a wholesaler, a developer, a buy and holder, or are you a service provider? If somebody says I'm a TC, what does that mean? Service provider. Now, to some of the higher level gators and the higher level transaction coordinators, I teach them, once they get going, I teach them how to carve out ownership while they're going, hey, a gator is going to bring money to your deal, but he doesn't want just an interest rate. He also wants partial ownership. So there is a way that these two things bleed together, but that's a higher level training that I do for TCs and gators. Okay? So
where would being landowners fall in?
right here. Yeah, that's called land banking.
Because I hear that's the real money.
Land banking, why being a landowner is not smart is because it requires the long game. I have a really good friend, his name is Stacy Brimhall, and he lives here locally. They buy land and they sit on it for 15 years. Okay, they buy so much land and they know the path of progress is what it's called. So do you know where the city of Phoenix is expanding to? Okay, Casa Grande is going all the way down to Tucson. In about 15 years, Casa Grande, Tucson, all of that will be one corridor full of houses in 15 years. Okay, between here and Gold Canyon, going to be completely full of houses. Okay, they're building massive master plan communities. So when somebody says, I own land and I hold on to land, that means they knew the path of progress 15 years ago because they worked with the county. And they said, county, where are you guys issuing permits and where do you want the city to grow? They go out and buy land 10 years, 3 years, 5 years, 15 years ahead of time. And they go, I got so much money, I'm going to wait until this quadruples or 10Xs, but I got to wait until people are moving that direction. Make sense? Yeah. So is that a good fit for a new person? No, but do we have people in SubTo that's what they're doing? Yes, but they're smaller, right? More risk, longer reward, less people. Less risk, faster the reward. You're going to have a lot newer people in that. Make sense?
Yeah. Do you feel, Pace, you feel that you're on a tier now that you would take a risk like that?
No, I'm not there yet. Okay. I'm not patient. I want money. I'm not wholesaling like I used to. I'm buying and holding a lot more, and I'm developing a lot more, and I'm also lending a lot. I'm doing a lot of lending.
So if I was a new investor, what would you advise me? Okay,
so this is a different question. Okay, I want to know the biggest problem? This is such a great question for everybody. This is the question that you are asking, and it's the wrong question. I'm going to teach you how to ask this question the right way, and I'm going to teach everybody else to ask this question the right way. When people ask the question of, okay, what would you suggest to a new investor what they should focus on? The right question is, how does an investor know what they should focus on? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's a difference between new investor and you investor. You are asking right now a new investor question, which is impossible for me to answer because I would give you, Zach, and Jose a completely different answer every single time. Zach, probably a little bit more risk adverse. Jose, he seems sporadic and crazy, but I actually think he's very risk adverse. You, I actually think that you'd be like, I'm ready to buy and hold some stuff right now.
Yeah.
Jose, I don't think is ready for that right now. Am I right, Jose?
Yeah, you're right.
How do I know this?
You know me personally.
but I know you, and I also
But
teach
also-
thousands of
yeah.
people, and so I know personality types. It doesn't mean you won't get there.
Yeah.
It means I also was that person in the beginning too. I wanted to wholesale. You have an established job. You have a good income. Why would you want to disrupt that? Why not spend 2 or 3 hours a week going and getting an RV park or going and getting a mobile home park that will replace your income so you can go, okay, do I want to keep my job and do more of these? That is the answer. That's what I would suggest for you. But what's going to happen is people listening to this right now are going to go, oh, that's what I should do. I should keep my job and I should go buy an RV park. No. Stop asking the question of new investor and start asking the question of you investor. And so for me, I'm going to give you very different advice. This is why a community is so important, is because I don't give generic advice. When people come on SubTo Family Night, like tonight, I've got a 3-hour class right after this for SubTo. And people need to understand how to ask the question. I need specific advice for me. When somebody joins SubTo, do you know that they get an MSA, a member success advisor, that helps them navigate to the right avatar for the first 60 days of their tenure in SubTo?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why the MSAs are so critically important, is because you as an investor need to be seen as you of, do you hate your job? If somebody comes to me and goes, I'm homeless, where should I start? Would I tell them to go get an RV park?
No.
No. Why? Well, because if I go get an RV park, the average time to find an RV park, close an RV park, get an RV park up and operational until I get a paycheck is about 6 month time frame. Finding the deal is probably 30 to 45 days. You're gonna find deals today, but you're gonna learn to say no and then learn what you want in the first 30 days. Then it's gonna take you about 15 days to go, that's the one I want, and to get under contract. Then it's gonna take 45 more days until you close that deal. Then you own it, and about 60 or 90 days of making sure you understand money coming in and all of that kind of stuff. Then you can start taking a paycheck. You are cool with being patient with that. Am I correct?
Correct.
And especially if it's going to make you $8,000, $12,000, $15,000 a month every single month, correct?
Correct.
Okay. However, if somebody joins SubTo, like we have a student named Matthew Starr, he spoke on Squat Up Summit stage last year. Matthew Starr joined SubTo as a homeless person living in his car. Does he have 6 months to go buy an RV park, or does he need a quick win right now?
Quick win.
There you go. So do you see why I built a community that accommodates every personality type?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would suggest to him, let's get you into wholesaling, bird dogging, or orbit. Orbit means I'm joining somebody else's existing established team. They're the sun. I'm the planet orbiting them. Does that make sense? Okay, so we have those programs in SubTo. This is also why we're so special, is because nobody ever no mentorship I ever joined is always like, watch the videos. Meanwhile, we have 700 people in SubTo that will allow you to orbit their company and work for them and learn how to do deals. Make sense? Because some people need that extra handholding. Okay, that's called Owners Club. Owners Club is a higher level leadership inside of SubTo. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so Zach, Jose, what I would do is I would probably tell you to bird dog, both of you
I was
guys.
gonna say bird dogging myself too.
I would probably get you to bird dog to be like, wow, this is really easy.
And then next I would try Gator. If I had started getting that kind of money.
Yeah, you're afraid of owning a piece of real estate.
Yeah.
If you weren't afraid of commitment, you would have already been married. You're afraid of commitment.
Chill out. All right, I'm gonna get married.
I'm just trying to, your dad
I'm
texted
just
me and was like, hey, please nudge this man in the right direction. Try and get this guy
My
married.
mentor. 38 and single guy.
Yeah, so like Lily says, wow, Matthew Starr from one of the Zooms that we do, one of the Zooms is taught by Matthew Starr. And a lot of people that are in SubTo have no idea that Matthew Starr joined SubTo 2 years ago and was sleeping in his car.
Yeah.
And he focused on wholesaling, and he sends me a text once a week and he's like, this community changed my life, because now guess what he just did? He upgraded from wholesaling and he just bought a 240 unit deal in Texas. So he's changing his phase. That is also a community, because guess what mostly happens out there in the world is somebody goes, okay, I learned wholesale from this guy for $10,000. I had 6 months inside the mentorship. Now I'm no longer inside of it. That's how the real estate education world works. In our community, Matthew Starr now goes, well, SubTo teaches all of this stuff. I'm going to go jump into multifamily because creative finance is everything. Okay. So he now is jumping in. He's still wholesaling for his active income. He's got a good team going, but now he's jumping into some forever money. Okay. So I categorize these. This is something very important for you guys to learn. Remember this. This is today money. This is tomorrow money. This is forever money. Everybody wants this. Okay. This also is very much today money. Okay. These are transactions. So today money, let me start here. I need active income right now. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So far, very helpful.
Yep.
Anything that I can answer before I erase this entire thing?
I hope this is not off topic. I get ads for it's like you, and then there's an ad that I always get about government.
Yeah, stupid. It's
Government.
Section 8. Government checks.
Leasing or receipts. You buy something off the government. It's something really.
Oh, government contracting. Yeah. We teach that too. It's not real estate related, but yeah, we do government contracting.
Okay. No, I'm not saying it right. If it comes back to me, I'll.
Okay, yeah. Oh, tax liens?
I think so.
Yeah, tax liens. Okay, so tax liens.
What is that?
Tax liens is basically it's a form of buying and holding.
Okay.
And wholesaling. It's kind of a combination in between. We have a tax lien class coming up for SubTo in December of 2026. So we'll be teaching that at some point.
Is there any kind of catch to them, or like
it's not a good fit for you. So here's what you're doing with tax liens. Tax liens are, I'm going to go buy, somebody's behind on their taxes.
Terms.
I'm going to go catch up their taxes.
Okay.
So now that person owes me that money, or I can take the house.
Okay.
That's as simple as it is.
Okay.
Every year, like this house I'm in right now, this studio you guys are hanging out in right now.
So I'm buying someone's back tax, or I'm
paying off their back taxes, and now they have to pay me off.
Oh, okay.
So I essentially am being
That's the risk then. Hopefully
you're putting money out.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. And so tax liens are not a beginner strategy. A tax lien, and you also don't know what's going to happen with the tax lien. It's gambling.
Yeah. I heard there's like several kinds of ways of doing it. It's
hard to lose in gambling. It's hard to lose your money in tax liens. It's very easy to lose your time.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, let's say you're behind on your taxes, $5,000. I go to you and I go, hey man, I don't even go to you. I go to the county and I buy your tax lien.
Yeah.
Okay. So I pay it off for $5,000. Then I go to you and I go, hey, I paid this off. I'm going to foreclose on your house, which you can do. Or you need to give me $25,000 to not.
Wow.
That makes sense?
Yeah. And then I call someone like you. Well, now I'm going to SubTo my.
Yeah, that is true. That does happen all the time.
Okay.
So here's what happens.
Right.
You could go, no, I'm going to file bankruptcy. You could prevent it's a not a black belt strategy, but it's like what's right below black belt, brown belt or something.
I think it's brown. Yeah.
Okay. It's a dark brown belt.
Lighter to darker.
Okay.
Yeah, I was always just curious.
It's a good strategy. It's a good strategy. It's not for beginners.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Are we ready to erase this?
Yeah.
Are we aware of today money, tomorrow money? So if somebody in SubTo goes, man, I'm broke, I have no money, what would you tell them to start with?
Wholesale.
Okay.
You would go to the categories of today money.
Yeah.
One of those categories and say, let's start with today money. Okay. Somebody says, I really like my job and I just want to buy 1 or 2 rentals a year and I just don't want to go through banks. Would you tell them to be a wholesaler? No, I wouldn't. I would not tell somebody to be a wholesaler if that is the case. Also, here's another thing about wholesale. Wholesale is the only, there's 2 things. Once you're a gator, you're always going to be a gator. Okay. Lending is always an amazing business opportunity. So you'll always be making today money off lending to people. The 2 roles that you don't want to do forever are wholesaling and being an agent. Okay. Wholesaling and being an agent is the 9 to 5 of real estate. Okay. It's the 9 to 5 of real estate. Okay. Is it a good job to have? Yes. Is it a high paying job if you're good at it? Yes. But it's the 9 to 5 of real estate. Okay. You are not an investor if you're a wholesaler, and you're not an investor if you're an agent. You're still a service provider, if that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about this. We're going to talk about strategies to acquire. Okay. That's acquisition strategies and disposition strategies. Okay. So we talked about Section 8. Is Section 8 a way to buy a property?
Yes.
No.
No. Dang.
Okay. Here's what we do. Okay. So here's Pace, the investor. Here's Pace, the investor. Okay. And Pace, the investor, wants to go and buy real estate. I have a lot of choices. I could either A, if I want the cheat code, I'll just go to a SubTo member and have a SubTo member just bring me a deal, and I acquire it and I put it in my portfolio. There you go. Did I have to negotiate, market, go get the contract, follow up with the seller? So when people say to you, I haven't done a deal yet, it is the most crazy thing on the planet, because do you know how many deals in SubTo get posted every day in just the SubTo Facebook group? On average, 380 deals get posted every day in our private SubTo Facebook group. Is there any physical possibility that somebody could tell you that they haven't done a deal without them just admitting they haven't done the work? Yes or no?
Yeah.
No, it's physically impossible. There are 380 deals already contracted, ready to purchase inside of SubTo that are primarily creative finance deals. Okay, which means what? It means that somebody went either DTS or DTA or DTR. Interesting. Direct to seller, direct to agent, or direct to referral. Referral would be like a probate attorney or a tax attorney referring a family to somebody like Pace, saying, hey, Pace buys houses, you should talk to him. You guys are going through a death in the family and you need to offload the real estate. That is a referral from an attorney. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Direct to agent means I'm calling real estate agents instead of calling the seller. These are almost two different business models to acquire and get deals. Okay. Or if I'm not in SubTo, I could just buy deals from wholesalers, right?
Yeah.
So what's happening, and you guys need to understand this, it looks as if this is what's going on, but the reality is a SubTo member got their deal from either A, it really should be this. These are really the three ways to get a deal. It's either A, B, C. Those are the three ways to get a deal if I want to be the one that controls the contract. Okay? And we're going to talk about this, so don't worry. Hopefully I'm not losing you already. When I first started in the business, what I did was DTS. That's what I learned, was DTS. I didn't even know DTA or DTR was even a thing. Okay. In fact, DTA is an acronym I invented like 5 years ago because nobody was talking about it as like a differentiator. So what did I do when I first started? In 2013, I learned from a lady named Bethany. What Bethany taught me is Bethany says, hey, I want you to be my bird dog. She did not use the word bird dog. I did not know what the word bird dog was until I invented it about 3 years ago. But that's basically what I was doing for her. Bethany says, I want to buy 100 houses before the end of the year and flip them because I'm almost ready to retire. I just want an extra couple of $1 million as I exit the industry. She had already been in the business for like 30 plus years. Okay. So Bethany says, you need to go find 100 houses. This is how I got my start. Do you know what Bethany required me to do before I started finding deals for her? She made me pay her $135,000 as a mentor fee. That's how I got started. Where are you confused, Jose?
No, I'm just looking at that amount.
Just so you know, that is very common in the industry. Like, you know Robert Kiyosaki? Robert Kiyosaki has $150,000 packages, $200,000 packages. There's full education programs that charge people $200,000. We just do so much for so little that even our team is like, wow, people pay New Reach $10,000 to learn how to be a part of SubTo. It is the greatest bargain on the planet.
Yeah.
Okay. People are paying $50,000 to one guy to learn multifamily. And guess what happens after a year? They're kicked out. That's the industry at large. Make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
So back to the desk, Trevon. So Bethany comes into my world. She says, pay me $135,000. I said, I don't have $135,000. I did, but it was all tied up in my construction business. She says, no problem. Pay me $25,000 now. This was my first seller finance deal. She seller financed. She basically was selling me her entire business. She retired and she sold me her business. Okay. $25K now. And then I basically paid her $25K every single time, every month until I paid her off. Make sense? Bethany tells me, you're good at talking to people. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to go and find homeowners. I want you to remember something very important. This might be one of the most important things you will ever learn. Every deal starts with a what? And the answer is always the same.
Story?
A seller.
A seller.
If somebody's not selling a thing, how does a thing become a deal?
Okay.
I know it's silly, but the beginning of every single deal is a seller every single time. There's never, ever, ever anything before the seller. The seller has the thing. And that thing could be a business. Okay, we teach business acquisition. It could be a multifamily property. It could be RV park. It could be a house. Could be anything, correct? But every deal that I'm trying to get my hands on, whether I'm trying to be A, B, or C, wholesaler, the fix and flipper, or the keeper, right? The buy and holder, doesn't matter what I want to do. I still have to go find a deal. Do I not? Okay, cool. So the way I learned was direct to seller. Now, this is where it gets really, really crazy. And I want you to understand why a lot of people will not go wholesale. And instead, they will decide to go be Bethany. Or they'll decide to go and build a portfolio, because this is how I learned. The first month I joined, I got into her business. First month, I spent $5,000 on postcards. Okay, I went to a company called Yellow Letters HQ. I don't use them. I don't suggest people use them, but at the time, 12, 13 years ago, I did. I spent $5,000. Where did those postcards go? They went to homeowners that Yellow Letters HQ told me were a good fit for me to talk to. Based on what information? Do we just send mailers to any homeowner, or do we send mailers to people that have motivation and pain?
Motivation.
We want people that are motivated, okay, or people that are in pain. If I'm a doctor, or let's say I'm a chiropractor, is every single person on the planet a client of mine? Or only people that are in some sort of pain or misalignment or what have you, right?
Yeah.
So do I walk around on the street as a chiropractor and go, hey, I'm a chiropractor, let me give you an adjustment? No, that's a stupid business acquisition strategy, because you don't know if those people are in pain.
Yeah.
Right.
What you should do if you're a chiropractor is you go find people that are motivated and they're in pain by creating a website that says, I help people with, does your back hurt? Does your thing, right? SEO. That's how acquire a deal. They're acquiring deals. Okay. So I spent $5,000. Those postcards went out to people that were motivated. How did I know they were motivated? Well, there's filters in real estate. Okay. You guys ready for some filters? It's going to overwhelm you really fast. How do we find these people?
Expired listings.
Expired listings is a good one. I like that one. Why do we know that an expired listing is motivated?
Because they're not able to sell their home.
There you go. So they already tried to sell their home, right?
Yeah.
So like, let's say I'm a chiropractor and I go online to a Reddit forum and it's like, this guy types in, this chiropractor failed me. My back hurts even worse than before. That's an expired listing. I already tried to go to a chiropractor, but now I'm in even worse pain. I'll pay anything I can to get rid of this pain. Me as a chiropractor calls him up, like, dude, that guy's an idiot. Let me fix you up. That's an expired listing. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Expired listing. That's a good one. What's another one?
Foreclosure.
Foreclosure. I like this one. Foreclosure. Somebody who's in foreclosure. Give me more. Okay, John Riddle in side chat's filling it up. People that are in probate. Okay, what does probate mean, my friends? It means you're who has a parent that owns a house. Okay, so your parents die. What happens to their house? It comes to you. But if your parents did not, if your parents did not set up an estate plan, do you know that it will be required for that to go through a probate process with the state? You better get your parents to go create a probate, like an estate plan. That's another conversation for another day. Do you know how many probates happen on a daily basis in Maricopa County? 30. Okay, it's about 900 a month.
So how do you get access to those probates?
Okay, so these probates, you want to get into that? You want to go into a whole different conversation of where do we find these leads? I can. The website I use for probates is alltheleads.com. This guy specifically focuses, the guy that creates alltheleads.com, I've been using him for 12 years. He's specifically a probate lead generator. If I want foreclosures, I go to dealsauce.io. If I want expired listings, I go to Vulcan 7. These are software programs that literally tie into the data better than anybody else, and they focus on very specific things. Now, I could keep going. There's a large list of things. Okay. Now, there's free places to do this too. You know, I could go foreclosures. I could just go down to the county recorder's office every day, and the county records all the active foreclosures every single day. Do I want to spend my time doing that? In 2016, I started doing that because I wanted fresh data and I wanted to not spend money, because if you go to the county records, they'll give you that data for free. But, you know, you can agree, a parking fee, driving down there, getting in and out of my car, dealing with somebody who works at the city, that's not very, very valuable use of my time. And so spending $97 a month on DealSauce was a better use of my time to just buy the data from DealSauce. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So what are some other places that we know are pain points? Okay, here, let's go direct to seller. These are really obvious pain points. Okay, probate, obvious. Expired listing, obvious. Foreclosure, obvious. One that's not so obvious is called tired landlords. A tired landlord is somebody who's owned a property for 15 plus years and usually owns 1 to 3 properties only. Why? How do I know that? This tells a story, doesn't it? Somebody's owned real estate for 15 plus years, but they only own 1 or 3 rentals in 15 years. What does that tell you?
Maybe they just capped at their capability of...
There you go. They were capped at their capability to manage the asset. So that tells you an equation of this person's overwhelmed and they manage the property themselves. People that manage property themselves hate being a landlord. We call them tired landlords. Okay, so whether it's an RV park, multifamily property, a mobile home park, single family, a business, it does not matter. It's the exact same story. How do I find RV park owners that are willing to sell to me off market? Okay, off market is also direct to seller. It means no agents involved. Off market, remember that. Off market, on market. You'll hear me say stuff like, oh, that's off market. See, Julie Daniel says Crexy. Crexy's on market. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Direct to seller and direct to agent is very different. We're talking direct to seller right now, and people in the side chat are very smart, are forgetting that I'm teaching you guys direct to seller right now, which means I'm not going through an agent. I'm going to the seller directly.
Could this be where you do like driving for dollars?
Driving for dollars. There you go, Zach. Great job. So driving for dollars is actually not a strategy to get a hold of a seller. Neither is probate, neither expired listings, neither is foreclosures or tired landlords. These are all lists. If I get a probate list, does it communicate with the seller directly for me? If I get this list of probate sellers, does that probate list go and call those sellers, negotiate with those sellers on its own?
No.
Now we got to figure out what's my outreach. How do I communicate with these people? That's a whole other layer to this. Are you starting to understand why wholesaling is challenging for some people and why bird dogging might be a better fit for a lot of people in the beginning?
Usually those sites too only list like the agent, right? Like Crexy, it'll list like the agent.
Yeah, you're not calling it. If it's on Crexy or LoopNet, those are on a marketplace, which means those are on market, which means they are represented by an agent, which means you should never call the seller directly, because even if you called the seller directly, the agent's going to get paid because the agent and the seller are in contract with each other called the listing agreement, which means that agent will get paid even if the seller sells the property on his own. Does that make sense? Yeah. And also the seller will just go, why are you calling me? Call my agent. So should I call on market properties directly to the seller?
No.
No, it's a waste of your time.
So you would say that any like website listing these properties is always direct to agent?
It wouldn't,
for the most
I
part?
wouldn't say direct agent. It could be a wholesaler that's listing it, but that means somebody else has contracted it, which means it's basically on market. It's been contracted. Okay.
So is there a website where I can just reach the seller directly?
See, you're skipping ahead. What kind of seller do you want to communicate with? Do you want to just call any seller? Do you want to call a seller that's in foreclosure? Do you want to call a seller that's in probate? Do you want to call a seller that's tired landlords? They're different scripts, and they're different motivation levels, and there's different strategies to communicate with these people.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there a website that I can reach out to them? Yes, I just gave them to you. Alltheleads.com will give you the names of the sellers that are going through probate and their phone number. Now, what you do with that phone number is another conversation. We're going to talk about that next. Okay. So I want to make sure we cover all of this. Like, where do I find these people? Because this is the most common question I get all the time. Where do I find deals? I literally just told you.
So when you find the people,
Hold on. You're cutting ahead.
oh, okay.
You're cutting ahead. What do we got to cover first? We got to cover list types. Okay. What pain and motivation types. Let's keep covering this. Driving for dollars. Guess what I'm doing when I drive for dollars, Zach? I'm basically looking for ugly houses, right? Do I know if an ugly house is a motivated or seller that's in pain?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. So I don't love driving for dollars, because basically what you're doing is you're just collecting ugly houses. You know what I have? I own a lot of ugly houses in my portfolio. Why? Because I rent them out. Do I need to repaint those things every 2 years if I've got tenants living in the house? No. So I've got ugly houses that people call me and go, I was driving by your house. I was wondering if you want to sell. Nope. That thing cash flows $1,000 a month. Why are you calling me? Because your house is ugly. Thank you. Please don't call me again. This thing makes $1,000 a month. So for me personally, I don't disagree with driving for dollars, but at my level, I would never spend my time on it. Okay. Who should spend this is, again, it comes down to the question, what should you do versus what should the new do? I don't know what everybody's question is. Everybody has to figure this out themselves. If I have no money, but I have time, driving for dollars is an awesome strategy because I have no risk, right? All the leads cost $600 a month. Is somebody brand new going to want to spend money on alltheleads.com? You see how this filters people out really quickly? Expired listings, Vulcan 7's $99 a month. Okay. Foreclosures, you're going to spend money at dealsauce.io and you're going to have to skip trace the sellers, and that's going to cost 12 cents per phone number. See how this starts costing money?
Yeah.
Okay. Tired landlords, I'm either going to have to mail them. That costs money, about $1 per mailing. I have to call them, which means I have to skip trace to get their phone numbers. That costs money, 12 cents per phone number. I could text them, but same thing. If I'm texting them, now I could get their names and their numbers and go drive to their houses and knock on their door. That is very effective as well. But how many people have the balls to door knock? In SubTo, we have about 700 people that's what they do, is they door knock. Okay, about 10, 15 people per state are door knocking almost full time in SubTo. You'd door knock for about 3 doors and then you'd be like, this sucks.
Yeah.
But you know what? We have door knock training in SubTo. We've done challenges where I've helped 300 brand new SubTo members get their first deal through door knocking. It is a guarantee. If I go door knock 100 doors that are in foreclosure, it's a guarantee. I've never seen somebody not get a deal from door knocking in 100 doors. It's never happened. It's physically impossible. Okay, so there are guaranteed ways to get deals here, but guess what you're still going to have to do? If I go to a house, I see it's ugly, I knock on the door, and they go, yeah, I'll sell it to you at a discount, or I'll sell it to you on SubTo, I still have to make a decision. Am I going to wholesale it? Am I going to fix it? Or am I going to keep it myself? Okay, you see how this becomes a unique situation. So let's say I'm broke. 2013. I drive for dollars. I see an ugly house. I knock on the door. I get it under contract. I'm broke. What should I do? Wholesale, because I need today money.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm not broke. I actually have some money, but I'd like to get a bigger rip without holding it. What should I do?
Fix.
Right. So the average profit on a wholesale deal is about 15K. The average profit on a fix and flip is about 50K. So Pace, how do I determine whether I should fix and flip or I should wholesale it? I don't know. How broke are you and how desperate are you? What do you want? Do you want 15K today or do you want 50K? Maybe, not guaranteed. By the way, 15K guaranteed today versus 50K maybe in 3 or 4 months. What if the market changes?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have more risk associated with this. You see how this changes your strategy. Mm-hmm. And so everybody goes, what should I do? I don't know. Who are you? Where do you live? What's your job situation? I know you guys enjoy your job. So are you going to go, I'm going to quit and go full-time real estate? I wouldn't advise that. If I were you, I would advise people that love their job. I would say, how do I carve out 6 to 12 hours a week to go find deals that I can keep? And I grow that portfolio 2 or 3 times over a year. And within 24 months, I'm like, I never have to worry about money again. That's what I would do if you really like your job.
Yeah.
If you don't like your job, like I didn't like my job, I hated being a contractor. I felt like I was a therapist and I was chasing money down all the time. So I became a full-time wholesaler and it replaced my income. Wholesale usually is meant to replace your current income, not amplify it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You are never going to find a person that says, I'm a doctor and I wholesale on the side. It ain't going to happen. If somebody comes and goes, I'm a doctor, I'm a massage therapist, and I make $150,000 a year, 4 days a week, and I wholesale on the side, that's not going to be a thing either. Make sense? Usually people are wholesaling because they're like, I need today money right now, and or I hate my job. I need to replace my job as fast as possible. Make sense?
Yeah.
So do you see how the individual needs to be made very clear of where they should be focusing?
Or also just addicted to quick money.
Yeah.
You know, just they love that fast money.
Okay, so Julie Daniel says, if you're wholesaling, how many calls a day should callers make to get a contract a week? That question is so vague. It is so vague because she's not telling me, hey, I'm calling probate leads, I'm calling them myself, or I'm calling them with cold callers from the Philippines, or I'm texting them, or I'm sending mail, and I'm then getting them to call me. It's a very different dynamic. It's so very, very diverse. Okay, this is why a community is so important. Yep, there's a lot to that question. Okay. KPI with what avatar? There you go. Okay, so when I was a wholesaler, I was sending out mailers to these people. What does a mailer do? Is a mailer gets them to call me. That's what's beautiful about a mailer, or like that's a letter to their inbox. That's a postcard to their mailbox. Sometimes it's PPC. What's PPC?
Pay-per-click.
Pay-per-click. What's PPL? Pay-per-lead, which means somebody else paid for the pay-per-click and then they sold the lead to me at a higher arbitrage, right? Mm-hmm. Holy moly, there's this many ways to get a lead. There is such an abundance in leads and where to get leads and opportunities that is really the problem. When people say to me, how do I get a lead? I'm like, so you're like really stupid. Because there's no way you can say, I don't know where leads come from. The better question is, where should I go get my leads based on who I am? I have no money. Well, if you have no money, you should have a lot of time. Pace, I have no time. Okay, well, you should have some money, right? So if somebody comes to me and goes, I have a lot of time, but I have no money, what would I tell them to do? I have no money. I would either bird dog for somebody else, orbit on somebody else's team, because maybe I need a little bit more hand-holding. I never needed hand-holding. I never needed that. Really, I just needed somebody to be my buyer. So what I would have done is I would have just driven for dollars and knocked people's doors and bought deals. No money, but you have time. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So pain and motivation. Where do deals come from, guys? Where's the origination of where deals come from?
Seller.
Every time. 100% of the time, a deal comes from a seller, whether you, the buyer, knows it or not. Because what you'll learn is when I'm just a buyer and I buy a deal from a wholesaler, I wasn't part of the conversation in the living room. I wasn't part of the negotiations. I wasn't part of the follow-up. I wasn't part of any of the contract. I just bought a deal from somebody else who did all of that stuff, and I don't know the story of that deal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I do know something every single time. Every contract, every deal, every fix and flip, every buy and hold, every development deal, every single time started with a pained or motivated seller 100% of the time. That's what we call bunnies. Okay. In our community, the SubTo logo is actually bunny ears. If you guys did not know that.
Well, you know the story.
You know the story. You've heard it. You've edited it 1,000 times. Okay. Now, this is a lot of information all up front, but hopefully this is a good starting point. Now, let's go back through kind of the flow of a deal. Okay. And I'm going to go back to where I started. I'm going to kind of walk through how a deal works. Okay. So when somebody says, I got a deal, I go, okay, great. What part of the transaction did you participate in? Because that could be 1,000 different people. Not 1,000, could be a lot of different people. Every deal starts with a what?
Seller.
Okay, well, look at you guys, all learning.
And then you send the seller an LOI?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Usually that's in more multifamily stuff. That's a little bit more advanced stuff, but let's talk about it.
All right.
Okay, so let's say I want to be a wholesaler. When I started out as a wholesaler, I had no time, but I had money. I was running a construction company with 150 employees. I was working 60, 70 hours a week. As a wholesaler, should I be out door knocking and spending my time? Or if I had some money, should I spend money to get people calling me? Okay, so my first month in the business, I spent $5,000 before I even knew a single thing about how to negotiate, how to fill out a contract. I'm an action taker. So I spent $5,000. Where did I spend that $5,000? I spent it at a company called Yellow Letters HQ. Do I use them anymore? No. Please do not go to them. They suck. Yellow Letters HQ, what did they do? They took my money. They probably made $2,000 profit on it, and they spent $3,000 on sending out postcards to probably about 6,000 homeowners at the time. Okay, that's about 50 cents per piece is what that ended up being. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
This is how this works. I spend money to them. Now, how do they know where to send this?
Is it like a database?
Because they have access to Deal Sauce.
Okay.
They have access to batch leads. They have access to all the leads. They have access. It's all the data that everybody else gets access to.
Yeah.
Okay. But at the time, I didn't know this. So I didn't know I was paying somebody $2,000 a month because I didn't know this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I wanted inbound leads. If somebody calls me and says, hi, I got your postcard. It's sitting on my kitchen. I'd like for you to come look at my house. Is that a pretty dang good lead?
Yeah.
Cool. So in my first month, $5,000, I got 20 phone calls in my first month that all came to me. Pretty good. That's really good for an inbound lead because that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a $400 call. Every single time somebody called me, it cost me $400 to get an inbound lead. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Jose's trying to work out the math?
No, I'm just comprehending inbound. Is that like, that's what?
Inbound means the seller literally looks at my postcard. This is how it works, Jose. I'm glad we're covering the basics today, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Because I've heard these terms inbound, outbound.
Okay, you got it. So let's say Martha goes to her mailbox in the afternoon, pulls out the postcard, and it says, "We buy houses." She goes and puts it on the countertop, and she goes, "Oh, my husband can deal with that." Her husband comes in the kitchen and goes, "Oh, man, you know what? It is about time for us to sell. Let me call this number." And they literally they call me, and it's an inbound call.
Okay.
It's inbound. If I'm getting inbound leads, is that a higher quality than if I do an outbound lead where I call somebody in foreclosure? Which one am I going to get am I going to get a better deal? Somebody's more motivated?
The inbound, I mean.
Always the inbound.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you become a scaled real estate investor as a wholesaler, most wholesalers pivot away from outbound and they pivot to inbound only.
Okay.
But you're spending a lot of money in the beginning as a wholesaler.
Yeah.
On inbound, this is crazy that I started this way because I didn't know anything else. I didn't know I could go get free leads. I had no clue I could get free leads. No, there was no YouTube at the time. 2012? Like, it was cat memes on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Cool. So I was spending $400 per call. And what I'm doing is I answer the call. In my first month, I got 5 contracts. 1, 2, 3 contracts. The first one was $25,000. That's the bunny story. I made $25K, and I can talk to you guys about that if you need to. $25,000. My next deal was a $15,000 deal. My next deal was a $10,000 deal. All of these 3 deals I sold to Bethany. And Bethany went and fixed them up, and she flipped them on the market. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I spent $5,000. I gave it to Yellow Letters HQ. They sent out 3,000 postcards. $3,000 went to, I'm just guessing here. I don't know exactly that number, but you get the point. Yeah. They make money. They send out 6,000 postcards. Out of 6,000 postcards, I get 20 phone calls. But these are high quality phone calls, right? Somebody that's willing to literally pick up a postcard and go, I'm going to call a stranger to buy my house. That's a high quality lead. And I will pay $400 for that all day long. You know what this costs now?
So is this the same concept, but when I see We Buy Ugly Houses and I just call that number?
We Buy Ugly Houses is what I own the territory for. We Buy Ugly Houses. That's exactly who I was. Okay. So when you see the yellow thing is a We Buy Ugly Houses and it's a caveman, yeah, that was me for 8 years in Phoenix, Arizona. I was the guy that picked up all those calls. Make sense?
Yeah, I can see it there. Yeah.
And I was out of 1,100 franchises in the country. Mm-hmm. I was number 3.
Nice.
But why was I so good at this? I'm going to tell you why I was so good at wholesaling. Should I suggest, can anybody do wholesaling? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do wholesale deals, but can everybody be a great wholesaler? The answer is no. Why was I so good at wholesaling? Think about what I was doing before this, okay? Contractor.
Personal.
Kind of, but let's do the math here. Alex says, what does that cost now? These costs for Phoenix, Arizona to get one phone call, it's about $2,000 per phone call. One, inflation, right? This is 2012. Things are double, triple what they used to be 12 years ago. The other thing is that there's a lot more competition because idiot YouTubers like me have taught people how to do this kind of stuff. Okay, we have 3,700 videos on YouTube, and some of them are how to do some of this. I've never broken it down this simply, though, so this is really great. Okay, so, but again, would I pay $2,000 for a phone call if I could still make 50 or 60,000 bucks? Yeah, probably. Okay, so it's still, the math still maths, if that makes sense. But why was I so good right out of the gate? Think about what I was doing. My background. I went and knocked 79,800 doors in Korea selling Jesus door to door. Do you think there's anything in the world that's hard for me? I slept on the floor for 2 years with cockroaches climbing all over me in a freaking third world country at the time, or second world country at the time, and I saved my money from bagging groceries to go on a mission for 2 years. I'm a lunatic. Ain't nothing I'm afraid of. Okay, that's part of my background. Then I get off my mission. What do? I go and I work in the construction field. What do contractors do? Here's what we do. We market to homeowners. Literally what we're doing here. I market to homeowners. I go to their living room, I listen to them, I build rapport, I then give them an estimate, that's an offer. I then go home, I wait for them to call me back, I have to follow up. Am I competing against other contractors? Yeah. Competing against other wholesalers? And I have to land the deal and then complete the contract. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I literally was doing the exact same thing for 10 years prior to this, I just was doing it as a contractor. Spent money on marketing, got into people's living rooms, built the rapport, listened to them, understood what they actually needed, and told them either A, I can help you, B, I can't help you. And if I can't help you as a contractor, I know somebody who will. That's called wholesaling. I literally was just doing this beforehand. So for me, I got into people's living rooms. They're like, being friendly to people and listening to them and understanding and being empathetic of their situation and trying to find a solution no matter what, well, sign me up for that. In fact, getting out of wholesale and becoming a buy and holder was actually the hardest thing for me because I love being in the living room. I love talking to sellers. I love being what I call a deal detective. Okay. So why do these people call us instead of calling real estate agents? Why are they calling us instead of just calling agents? The answer is a lot of times they've already called agents and the agents have said, this house is in such bad shape, I'm not going to list the property. A lot of times they have already tried to sell with a real estate agent and failed. So they then call a real estate investor. It makes sense? Yeah. A lot of times they go, we just bought a deal 4 months ago where the house, we got a call from a postcard. Okay, I don't do postcards anymore, but SubTo students do postcards. So it came from a student named Doug here locally. He sent postcards. He buys the deal. I buy it from him. He wholesale sells it to me, and I'm his Bethany in this situation. I go to the seller's house the day they were supposed to move out, and I meet the lady. I go, oh, thank you for selling the house to us. We're so grateful. It's such an awesome thing. She's like, no problem. I just know how the market is, and da-da-da-da-da. And I go, oh, you sound like really smart about real estate. She goes, yeah, I'm an agent. This happens all the time. Real estate agents won't even put their own house on the market. Why? Speed and convenience. If I put my house on the market, the average time in Maricopa County right now to get an offer is about 90 days. That's an offer, 90 days. So let's say my husband gets a job opportunity in Wyoming that we need to be to in 2 weeks. Do I want to deal with this house sitting on the market for 90 days while I'm in Wyoming? No. Do you see how there's pain and motivation in all of these individual stories? And before I told you that seller had a husband who's moving to Wyoming and had a job opportunity that they cared more about, you would have been like, why would an agent sell their house to a wholesaler $200,000 below what their house was worth? Speed and convenience. Have you ever had so much pain in your body that you just couldn't wait to take an Advil or a Tylenol or something? Yeah. Or go to the doctor, or maybe even called for mommy. Ever happen? Looking at Jose specifically here. This is what our sellers are going through. They have pain, motivation. They just cannot wait to get out of that situation, so they will call us for speed and convenience. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, cool. Is this helpful to understand the dynamic of this world? Yeah. Okay, so why is this so important? This is so important because in our community, this wholesaler is going to need EMD money. You guys don't know what that is yet. I'll teach you that in another class. They're going to need EMD money. That's a gator. Anything in green on this is a gator. So a gator can participate right here. Then when this lady needs to buy her flip, she needs hard money, she needs private money, and she needs refinance money. Guess what a gator can do? All of those. So if you ever hear me talk about Gator 1, Gator 2, Gator 3, Gator 4, these are all different Gator strategies. This is why I built a community that if this person's flipping, they can get access to money. If this person's wholesaling, they can get access to money. If this person's a Gator, they can get access to deal flow. This is a community. More of a community, it's more of an economy. Meaning I can join this economy that called SubTo, this creative campus, so to speak, and there's literally nothing I can't do. I knew I was on to the vision in the first week of SubTo. This is June 2020, so 5.5 years ago. I start a Zoom, and I open it up, and one of our brand new students, her name's Kelly Hanno. She ended up being our Facebook manager for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Kelly Hanno comes in, she goes, I just got my first deal from a SubTo member. I got my money from a SubTo member. My contractor's a SubTo member. The guy who's going to manage my Airbnb is a SubTo member. And the person partnering with me on it is a SubTo member. And the person that did the paperwork for me, a SubTo member. That is a community. Everybody has a diverse, different set of skills that they all bring to the transaction. These are not made up roles. Do we not need a contractor on every deal? Yeah. Do we not need a lender on every deal? Yeah. Do we not need a property manager, an Airbnb decorator on every deal? Transaction coordinator, title company. So a community is teaching all of these people how to interact and work with each other, if that makes sense. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so as a wholesaler, this is how I started. My first month was $5,000 in postcards. Boom, boom, boom. Get my first 3 deals. You guys know how the first deal goes. Do you know how I got my first deal?
Yeah, the bunny stuff.
Okay, can I break? I hate to teach this lesson to Kiki, but
you're getting better at making your bunny story faster and shorter.
it's time me on it. Truly, time me on it. If it's more than 5 minutes, then Jose can apologize.
No, then I get I get one of your screens.
One of my screens. Oh, the ones upstairs.
Cameras.
Oh, okay.
Monitor.
Tell me when you're ready. You can time me.
Okay, stopwatch. Sorry.
Okay, so Kiki, I get a phone call from a lady named Janie Munson. Janie Munson's a school teacher. It's the first phone call I ever took in my life that came from a postcard. This exact situation. I spent the $5,000. Phone number comes in. Janie Munson, a retiring school teacher, says, I'm selling my house in North Phoenix. I want to sell this house and move to Oregon. These are important details, by the way, my friend. All of these are important details. Knowing why a seller is selling and what they're doing is the most important part of every single deal. I said, I don't know what to do. I told her flat out, I'm brand new to this, so I had to call Bethany. Bethany told me, set the appointment, you freaking idiot. Right? She had to walk me through the thing. So I set the appointment. 2 days later, I'm driving up to Janie's house to meet her at this property. I called Bethany on the way up there and I said, I don't know what to pay for this house. She says, give this lady no more than $150,000. Perfect. Any reason why? She goes, don't worry about it. Newbies shouldn't know. The less you know, the better. Just take action. Just take action. Just take action. I get to the house. I go into the kitchen. I'm sitting there with Janie and I ask her, because I look down on the kitchen counter and guess what she has? Stacks of postcards from other investors stacked up. Everybody's mailing this lady. She'd owned the house for 40 years. She tried to sell the house with a real estate agent, couldn't get the number that she really needed because the house was beat up and it had not been renovated in 40 years. Single pane windows, beat up roof, hot water heater was leaking, all the things you could imagine. The house was clean. She wasn't like a messy person, just an old beat up house. And she was a school teacher making $45,000 a year. She couldn't afford to clean up the house. So I said, why haven't you sold the house? She says, because I have an offer at $165,000 and I need more money than $165,000. You see how I have a problem? In my first appointment, I was told $150. She already has an offer at $165. So I told this lady, I'm sorry, I probably can't help you. I can't come up to $165. She thought I was full of crap. She thought I was trying to manipulate her. And I said, well, I guess I should just leave. And as I'm leaving, I stop in the doorway. I'm looking at my truck and I go, had a feeling I should ask her, is there anything I can do to help you? She's like, wait, you don't want to give me an offer, but you want to help me? I don't understand it. I said, well, yeah, I'd love to help you. I'm a contractor. I have all these guys. I can load boxes for you. I can fix your hot water heater. I can do whatever I can. Why would you want to help a perfect stranger? Are you a Boy Scout or something? I go, yeah, I am a Boy Scout. And that made her want to actually tell me what was going on. She had tried to sell the house for a long time, for over a year. Turns out the reason why she couldn't sell the house is because she had 3 massive bunnies in her backyard that her granddaughter brought home 3 years ago from a fair, and she thought they were going to be regular bunnies. They turned out to be Flemish bunnies that grow the size of a 5-year-old child. These bunnies are costing her $600 a month in food, vet stuff, and grooming. She's like, as a retiring school teacher, I can't afford these, but these are like family members. I need to find a place for these to go. And I'm like, that's so easy. I call my mom. My mom drives up there 45 minutes later, takes all 3 bunnies and drives them down to her little farm that she has here in Queen Creek, Arizona. My mom talks to Janie. Janie's like, you're still not going to give me an offer? This is crazy. Why would you not give me an offer? You just helped me. I'm like, because I told you I can't come up to 165. She's like, can you come close? And I'm like, no, I'm not even close. I leave. 2 weeks later, I get a call. I'm at home Saturday morning. I'm pulling weeds in my backyard. I get a call from Janie. Hi, Pace. Do you remember me? It's Janie. Yeah, of course, Janie. Did you sell your house? How's it going? Who'd you sell it to? Well, Pace, I actually made a decision, to put on my calendar that I have homework to do, and the homework is due today. And the homework I told myself I had to do by today was choose who I'm going to sell the house to. And I can't help but choose one person, and that person's you. I'm going to sell my house to you. I go, Janie, I haven't given you an offer. And she said, well, Pace, here's the thing. 15 people came and met me before you, and 15 people met me after you. Not one of them cared about my situation. You asked me where I was going to move when you bought the house. Am I going to be okay? What is my living situation going to look like? And then when I told you I needed a certain number, you didn't even offend me with giving me too low of a number, and you went and helped me. Nobody out of 31 people besides you asked me if they could help. And more importantly, actually did it within an hour and then left with no expectation. I thought every day between the last 2 weeks, you were going to call me every single day. I was waiting for you to call me and make me feel bad that you helped me place my bunny somewhere and say, you deserve to buy my house and nobody else. And you didn't call me one time. Which makes me realize I could have tried. I trust you, and whatever your number is, I know it's the right number. And I didn't know anything to do, Kiki. I had no idea how to fill out paperwork or contracts. So what did I do? I called Bethany, my mentor, the person I paid $135,000 to teach me, and yell at me and scream at me, which is what I needed at that point in my life. And I said, what do I do? And Bethany's like, wow, you are so stupid. Come pick me up, drive up to Janie's house. Let's get the contract done. I'm like, I don't know how to fill out the contract. She says, no problem. I'll fill out the contract. So we go up to the house. First time I get a contract, my mentor, who I paid $135,000 to, filled out the contract for me, taught me. And I go through the thing and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. We leave the house and I go, how am I going to make how am I going to come up with $150,000? And Bethany's like, are you stupid? You're not going to buy the house. You got a contract on the house. I'm going to buy that contract from you with a new contract. I'm going to pay $175 for your $150 contract and you're going to keep $25,000. I'm like, I just made 25 grand. She goes, yes, go do it again. Okay, I'm at 6 minutes.
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, so here's the most important lesson. I said, can you help me understand why this worked out? And she says, Pace, it's never about the house. It's never about the house. I go, what is it about? And she says, it's about the bunnies. Every single seller you go to is going to have bunnies. It just turns out these were literal bunnies. I'm like, am I going to run into this again? She goes, you'll literally do 50,000 deals in your lifetime and not one more person will have bunnies. This is the most random thing on the planet. I go, what are other bunnies? She's like, foreclosure, probate, divorce, death in the family, all of these things, people wanting to retire. They're sick of the house. And she goes through and tells me all these pain points. It goes, these are bunnies. People say, I'm selling because I want to sell my house. That's not bunnies. Bunnies are the emotional reason why they need to get rid of the property. And she goes, if you just focus on solving people's bunnies and figuring that out, like today, I'm going to make 3 hours of calls for RV parks today. And the only thing I care about is I don't care about the address. I don't care about the price of the property. I don't care about anything. I care about why is the seller selling and what's the underlying pain. I need that seller to walk me in their backyard, giving it as an example, because that's what Janie did. Janie walked me into her backyard, opened the sliding glass door, and showed me these bunnies because I asked how I could help. Every phone call I'm on, when I'm feeling resistance with the seller, I realize I'm still in the living room and I haven't gotten back to the backyard yet. I haven't built enough rapport for them to open up that sliding glass door and tell me what's really going on. So when you see the SubTo logo, everybody goes, oh, SubTo. It's just ironic that is that. But really the logo is always find the bunnies. And it was bunny ears, bunny ears, bunny ears, bunny ears. Find the bunnies. Every single deal, it's find the bunnies. Where's the pain? How can we help? And there's not a seller I've done a deal with that did not have significantly sized bunnies. Every single time. There's never been a time where a seller goes, I just want to sell my house. Doesn't happen. Does not exist. No seller goes, I just want to sell my house. Okay, well then you're not motivated and you don't have enough pain. I can't provide value to you. Chiropractor trying to solve somebody who doesn't have a kink in their neck. I have no value to provide you. I go find the person that has a kink in their neck. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Jennifer says, this story is worth hearing repeatedly, Jose.
Of course, yeah. I just want to know how
It really is, though.
he keeps it consistent.
It's a very important story because
Symbolism.
every single time a student in SubTo comes to me and goes, I'm just having a hard time negotiating. I'm like, no, you don't negotiate. You find their bunnies and you bring a solution to those bunnies. Okay, so seller wants to sell a $5 million RV park that's worth $4.5 million. Is that seller crazy? No. Their pain point is, you got to understand, this seller's owned the park for 20 years. He's now 72 years old. This is the last asset he owns. Wouldn't you want to get the highest possible price you could if it was 72 years old? You know your money-making years are over. Your physical health is in decline. Are you a crazy lunatic, or are you just somebody desperately trying to get more money to take care of your wife and your grandchildren? Okay, this is where creative finance is going to help, and we won't even get to creative finance because you guys need to understand like where deals come from more than anything else. And I've still got 40 minutes with you guys. So with that seller, let's say a seller wants way too much money. Most people go, that seller wants too much money. I go, why does that seller want too much money? And how can I get them that too much money in a way that helps me? So RV park, seller is selling for $5 million. It's only worth 4.7. Everybody's giving him offers at 4.4, 4.3, low volume, because that's what you do when you're an investor on cash. I came in, give the guy an offer at 5 million. The guy's like, why would you give me an offer at 5 million? I'm like, because you originally had it listed at 5 million. I assume you deserve that money. Let's just make it work for both you and me. He's like, well, how does that work? I go, give me no money down and I'll pay you a monthly payment every single month on seller finance. He's like, wow, I don't know why I would do that. I want my money right now. I go, no, you don't. You do not want your money right now, sir. Because you have bunnies coming up that you're not even aware of. They're called capital gains. You bought this park for 2 million. You're now selling it for 4. Let's say you sell it for 4.5. How much money did he make? He bought it for 2, selling for 4.5. 2.5. Is the federal government going to let you keep all that money? No, they want to donate money to Ukraine. Yes, that's a political statement.
Yeah.
Okay, they want to give money away to other countries. They want to print money and give it away to stupid stuff. Okay, now whether Ukraine is a important initiative or not does not take away the fact that they take our hard-earned money and they give it away to foreign countries. Do they not do that? So I tell a seller that, who's an 82-year-old man, do you think he's going to be hypersensitive to hearing that? He's going to go, yeah, I don't want my money going overseas. See how I'm digging into his pain? I go, if you sell to me at 5 million on seller finance, I can actually help you avoid your capital gain. He's like, well, how much is that? I'm like 2.5 million at 30% is your capital gain. That is $750,000 that you would give to the federal government for selling the property to an investor on cash. Do you want to give away $750,000 that could go to your grandchildren or your grandchildren's grandchildren? He's like, no. I go, then let me make a monthly payment to you on seller finance, and that will help you overcome. See, most people don't know that creative finance can help sellers overcome their capital gains tax. It's an advanced strategy that solves advanced bunnies. Does that make sense? So when you understand the seller's bunnies and what they're going through, you can actually go and solve their problem when nobody else can. Dumb are using conventional real estate. Keep that in there. Dumb people go, let me lowball the shiz out of this seller. Now, I also lowball sellers too. I do cash investments too. I buy things on cash. I just don't like talking about it because the reality is it's a zero-sum game. What does that mean? That means if I win, you lose. Creative finance is the only strategy that you, the seller, win when I win. And I win when you win, which means you avoid capital gains. You get a higher purchase price, and I get an asset without going through a bank. And we're going to talk all about creative finance in other classes, but when I give you a cash offer, guess what I have to do? I have to get it at a low enough price. Where does that discount come from for me? I get a discount. Where does it come out of? Your pocket.
Yeah.
Literally, if you're trying to sell a property for 4.5 and I offer at 4.1, where does the difference come from? Your pocket. That's traditional. Welcome to traditional real estate. There's not a single traditional real estate transaction that the seller does not take it in the shorts when the buyer gets a good price. In creative finance, the seller wins the more I win. It's freaking amazing. Yeah. It is the superpower. We'll talk about it deeper into stuff. So, of course, we do cash deals. That's where I started. But creative finance solves way more bunnies. Okay, and this is the reason why I'm hammering home on this is because in my first month, I had 3 deals, but I told you guys I got 5 contracts in my first month. Let me tell you how I got the other 2. So I got 20 phone calls. Out of those 20 phone calls, there's always about 4 of these phone calls that we call them tire kickers. Okay, just give me an offer over the phone, stuff like that. Why can't you just give me an offer? I don't want you coming to my house. Give me an offer over the phone. Immediately, not interested. Are those people sounding motivated? No. So I now have 16 people to work. And if I converted 3 of them on cash contracts, that means I have 13 people I did not convert. Why did I not convert these people? Well, let's go through the math. Can I erase this board, by the way? Are we all on the same page of how this all works? Do we do cash transactions in SubTo? Yes, we do. Billions. We do more. Let me tell you why SubTo is so special. There are people that have cash mentorships that we do 5 times more cash transactions in a creative finance community than their dumb mentorships do entirely as a cash mentorship. We dominate real estate. Nobody even comes remotely close to us. Okay. I'll tell you, one of my friends he's like, yeah, I have a massive BRRRR strategy community. I'm like, oh, dude, how many people do you have? He goes, 400. He's the second largest mentorship in BRRRR in the country. He has 400 people. Does that give me enough people to collaborate with, to sell deals to get deals from, to be partners with, to get money from, to lend money to? No, that's not a community. That's a freaking, I don't even know what you would call that. Okay? Sorry for cussing if you guys brought your kids here today. They need to learn that people love to cuss anyway. So your kids are cussing behind your back, I'm sure of it. Okay, so out of those, let's go through these leads again. This is how I learned about creative finance. 20 leads come in. 3 people are immediately disqualified because they're tire kickers, right? Then I convert, 4 of them. And then I convert 3 into cash contracts. That leaves me 13, right? So I have 13 people left. Why can I not convert them? Here's a couple of reasons why. 3 of them went with competitors because I sucked. Okay? They went with my competition. My competition was better at follow-up. They were better at storytelling. So I got better at converting my leads over time. I got to a point where 20 leads come in, I'm getting 6 cash contracts, but that took me about 3-4 years to learn why I was missing out on those. Okay? So that leaves me 10. Half, literally 50% of all of my leads that I was paying for, 50% were not viable sellers to me. Why? It was either A or B. Because I already took out the tire kickers, the people that were not motivated in the first place. Why were they? It was either A or B. A, they wanted too much money. They had motivation, but they wanted too much money. Or B, they had 0 equity. Now, we could talk about that. Sellers that want too much money. This is going to be a very common, very, very, very common thing. My seller wants too much money. Okay, we'll give them seller finance. Or a Morby method, or SubTo. Give them one of the 26 creative finance strategies. None of these creative finance strategies can be applied to a cash transaction. Okay, and what are these strategies? They are SubTo. They are seller finance. They are hybrids. Okay, they are Morby methods. They are lease options. They are novation agreements. They are dating contracts. I could go on and on and on. Agreements for sale, contracts for deeds, bond for deed. I could go on and on and on and on. These are all different strategies that I can apply to solve these people's problems. Creative finance is an endless mountain of tools that I can solve these people's problems. Okay? We will talk about these later down the road. Basically, what these tools do, I need you to understand, what does creative finance do that cash transactions don't, is it solves more what?
Money.
Bunnies. It solves more bunnies. Creative finance solves more bunnies. So what happened is, I found out what creative finance was in the first 30 days of me being an investor, which is amazing because most wholesalers go 5, 6, 7 years without learning any of this. Most of the stages I go speak on are wholesaler stages or Airbnb stages or people that are doing like Section 8. They're like, we're not getting enough deals. I'm like, well, because you go generate 20 leads and half of them, literally half of them, you can't even solve their problem because you don't have the tools to solve the problem. It's like, have you ever tried to get a flathead screwdriver tightened with a Phillips head? It's not easy, is it?
No.
That's like trying to use cash transactions to solve a creative problem. Make sense?
Yeah.
This is why we have a larger tool belt, is I want to make sure I have a needle, like Trevon, he used a needle nose pliers today. Could you have used a regular pliers today to solve that problem?
It would have taken a lot longer, probably.
Would have taken a lot longer. And so real estate requires different tools for different situations, and creative finance just brings a significant amount of those tools, okay? So what happened is my first 3 deals that I converted cash, I made $50K on those deals. So $5,000 investment into postcards for a $50,000 return was pretty freaking awesome. What happened was I then take these 3 contracts. When I get a contract, where do I take that contract to start the transaction? I either email it or I physically drop it off to a company. And that company is called a what? A title company or a closing attorney. In Atlanta, Georgia, they're called a closing attorney. In most other states, they're called title companies. What does the title company do? They're basically the clearinghouse. Okay, it's like Coinbase for Bitcoin. Okay, they're the clearinghouse. They make sure that the parties involved are all real people. They're verified as human beings, and they make sure that the county updates the new records of who the new owner is, and they remove the old owner and put the new owner there. They do a lot of the clerical data to make sure a real estate transaction is clear, clean, and concise. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So I go down to my title company and I meet this magical woman. It's in my book, Wealth Without Cash. In the first chapter, I write about this lady named Eileen Brown. Eileen Brown says, who the hell are you that you just brought in 3 contracts in a week? I've never seen you before. I'm like, well, I'm a real estate investor. She's like, okay, I've been in this business for 41 years. I've never met you. Who are you? I go, my name's Pace Morby. She goes, great. Nice to meet you. 3 contracts, huh? Where'd you get these contracts? And I tell her basically what I told you. She then says, come into my office. Let's whiteboard. By the way, no title rep will ever do this with you. This lady is the oracle of creative finance. She says, okay, you have 20 leads. Why did you only convert 3? I go, oh, that's really good. Bethany told me I made 50 grand out of $5,000 investment. How is that not good? She goes, that's mediocre. But you want to know what my biggest investors that I do all their paperwork for, do you want to know what they're using to convert the other 10 people? I'm like, sure, I'd love it. Are you kidding me? And she goes, have you heard of SubTo and seller finance? And I go, no, I've never heard of that. What does that mean? And she taught me SubTo and seller finance, which I won't jump into today because we don't have a ton of time. I will jump into this the next time we have a conversation. But she taught me to go and apply these tools to the people that want too much money or don't have enough equity. Let me break down what too much and not enough equity looks like for a couple of minutes.
I just got one question.
Okay.
Like when you profit, do you tell the buyer a different price than what?
What I bought it for?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about it?
That's what I'm saying. You tell the buyer you make your own price, right? Of like what you selling it to the buyer.
Yes. Okay. So this is a great question. This is talking about wholesale specifically. And I think we could have a whole day just about how wholesale works and how many calls and what do I do and all that kind of stuff. But essentially what you're saying is like, okay, well, what do you tell your buyer if they're going to pay more than what you got it for? How are you communicating that to your buyer? First and foremost, when you first start out, you ask your buyer what they'd be willing to pay for that property before you get the contract. Okay. When you're more advanced, I say by year 1 or year 2, you don't need the buyer to tell you what that property is worth anymore. So you go out, you get the contract based on what you know it's valued at in its current condition, but that takes about a year to truly learn. Then you go out and you shop it to your buyers and see who's willing to pay the most. Yeah. You're never telling them what price you got. But in your first year, this is where wholesalers really mess up. And you'll see it's like one of the most common things that happens almost every day in the DMs. Somebody DMs us and goes, I have a contract and it's not selling. Do you know any buyers? What does that tell me? That tells me they signed the contract with the seller way too high and they never communicated with a buyer. Okay, that's a whole like talk. In the first year of my business, I never once comped a property. I never went on Zillow and said, what is this house worth? I texted my buyer, Bethany, or I texted Jamil. Jamil was one of my first mentors. And I said, what will you buy this at? He says 120. And so if I go to the seller and the seller says, I had this really great story where Jamil tells me, hey, I'll buy this for 400. I go to the seller and I go, well, what would you be willing to sell this for on a cash deal before I give you a creative offer? What would you pay on cash? And she goes, I'd sell it for 250. And I'm like, Jamil just told me he'd pay 400. I go, great, let's do the deal. We sign the contract. I leave. I send the deal to Jamil at 400. I make 150. Jamil went and sold it again to somebody else for 450. Jamil made 50. I made 150. The lady was happy with 250. I never told Jamil what I bought it for. I just asked him what he would be willing to pay for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that is the proper way to wholesale. Some dummies on YouTube will go, oh, that's reverse wholesaling. No. Going to a seller and negotiating with them on their house when you don't have a legitimate buyer beforehand, in my opinion, should be illegal. But that's what people do. The only time it shouldn't be illegal is when somebody like me is advanced that I could go to the seller. This is their home. This is where they make babies. This is where they make memories. This is where they live. And if you're in their home negotiating with them, but you don't have a legitimate buyer backing you up, that should be regulated. It's not. I'm glad it's not for the people that feel confident going out and doing it, but there's a lot of sellers that get screwed over by wholesalers because they go negotiate with homeowners, get them under contract. Now they have a contract over the house. They try and find a buyer. They keep straggling the seller along. They keep trying to find a buyer, straggling the sellers along, and then no buyers come along, and then they ghost the seller. That activity right there. I get a call from the Attorney General of California 2 years ago in 2023. He goes, dude, I watch your stuff on YouTube. You do a great job. Can you help me understand how these people are scamming these real estate agents and these sellers? There's a scam group that's going around and contracting all these sellers and these real estate agents. And then after like 2 months of stringing them along, they just ghost them. Can you teach me how these scam artists are benefiting from doing that, getting people under contract and then ghosting them 2 months later? I'm like, no, you just described a wholesaler that watches YouTube content only and is not part of a community. They're not actually educated. Yeah. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, they're going out, they're negotiating with sellers, they're getting them under contract because they watch something on YouTube, they get the contract, they go send it out to a group of buyers. Every buyer is like, you're $100,000 overpriced. What are you talking? That's not a deal. Then instead of going back to the seller and saying, hey, I'm a new person, I screwed up, I'm so sorry I wasted 2 months of your life, they just ghost them and block the agent and go, and then they say wholesale doesn't work. That is why wholesale is being regulated right now. There's 11 states that have outlawed wholesale in a traditional manner. You now have to be licensed to be a wholesaler in 11 states now because of that activity. What should be done is you reach out to your buyer and you say, I'm going to a house today on 123 Main Street. Will you please tell me what you would buy it for, sight unseen? And I'm going to go to the house and I'm going to negotiate underneath what you're willing to pay, and that's going to end up being my fee. That buyer doesn't care what you make if they're a good buyer. They want you to make a lot of money because that means you can put more money into marketing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. There you go. A lot of good stuff in the side chat too. Okay, so let's talk. I've got 20 minutes. Let's tell a couple of stories about too much, sellers that want too much, and sellers that don't have equity. Okay. What is equity? Let's talk about that first. What is equity? Let's say I have a house that Zillow says is worth 400. I go on Zillow and it says 400. I have it listed on the market. I'm sorry. I'm the seller. I go on Zillow and I go, oh, my house is worth 400, but I owe the bank $381,000 to the bank. How much equity do I have?
19K.
You believe it's 19,000, but you are wrong. Why? I set you up for failure because everybody thinks that equity is the difference between what I owe and what the market says it's worth. Equity is only what is in your pocket after everything's been paid. Do you know what the average cost to sell a house in America is? It's 10% of the sales price. Why is that? Because you have one agent that's going to make 3%. You have another agent that's going to make between 1% and 3%. You've got a title company. You've got an inspector. You've got when a buyer, has anybody ever in here bought a house? Okay, we got to fix that. But when you buy a house, you submit an offer, you get under contract, and then you do an inspection of that house before you buy it, before you close. The inspector creates a list of pages this thick, everything that's wrong with that house, and gives it to the buyer. That inspector gets paid $500 to $700 to go and inspect that property. Do you think that inspector is going to go into that house and not find 100 things if he got paid $700 to find everything available? Literally, they find everything. I should pull up an inspection report so you guys can see them. It's crazy. So what the buyer now does is the buyer goes back and says, hey, I know we're under contract for $400,000, but I found about $20,000 in things that are wrong with the house. I'd like you to fix them or give me a credit. And so a lot of the sellers will give a credit. Now, in a slower market, the other person that gets paid is the lender. And a lot of the sellers are having to give credits or concessions, they're called concessions, to the lender that is lending the money to the buyer. There's so many fees that come out of selling a house. So how much equity, if you know that the average sale cost to sell a property on a $400,000 house is 10% of that number, how much equity does that person who owes $381 actually have? Trick question. I got to pull out a red pen for this if that's going to give you a hint.
They're going to be
They're going to be in the negative. Okay? So this is where people don't understand. And you know how many people are like this in the country now? A little over 6 million people have this exact situation in the United States with an interest rate at 4%, 3%, 2%, or even lower. So they have a really low interest rate, but they have no equity. So after they sell the property at $400,000, they pay 10% on average in the country to sell that property between agents, closing costs, buyer commissions, or buyer concessions and everything else. They got a check for $360, but they owe $380. So the seller writes a check for $21,000 to get rid of the house. Do you know how many transactions in America have the seller writing a check to get rid of their property? Right now, it's a little over 20% of the sellers are writing a check to get rid of their property. In Maricopa County, where we are right now, do you know how many that is? That's 900 sellers per month just in our market are writing a check to get rid of their house. So?
No.
When a buyer like me comes along and tells the seller, hey, dude, I don't actually care about your house and I don't care what you got to sell it for. I want the interest rate. I can solve that person's problem and give them no money down to take over that house. Does that make sense? And why would they give me a no money down situation? Is because I just gave them $21,000 because I did that deal with them. Is that correct? Yeah. Do you see? And people in the YouTube comments are like, why would a seller ever give you their house with no money down? Like, because they didn't. I actually gave them $21,000 on paper that they didn't have to write a check to get rid of this house. I gave them money. I just didn't have to give it to them today. Yeah. Make sense?
It's even worse when they're in foreclosures, right?
Way worse in foreclosure. So that's a no equity situation. And this is very, very common, especially when people bought houses in 2022 with really low rates. And now here we are in 2026, basically. They still have those rates, but the market kind of compressed a little bit. And they're like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And they get a job opportunity from Arizona to Washington. What do those sellers do? SubTo. This is why SubTo, one of the 26 strategies that we teach in SubTo, why SubTo is so important. Make sense?
Yeah.
So Eitan says, so market to folks with no equity. How do I find these people specifically? Is I literally go to Deal Sauce and I click on no equity, under 4%, 100 days on the market, and I call the agents and I go, hey, it looks like you haven't been able to sell this house for 100 days. Would your seller be willing to let me take over the mortgage? It is the biggest laydown deal on the planet. When we do the No One Left Behind challenge, you see me and Jamil and Ingrid making calls. We're locking up like 30 contracts in a week because we're calling agents that have houses on the market for 100 days that have this exact situation. They literally have no other choice besides us or writing a check to get rid of the house. Do you see how we solve more problems than, how could a cash offer even work for this person? Because think about this, if I was going to go and I was going to do a flip on this, how do I do a flip? Dude, I got to buy a house. If I'm flipping a house that's worth 400, do you have an idea of what I would have to buy that house for to flip it for 400? Okay, so my housekeeper, Sandra, She just sold me a deal. I bought it yesterday. Actually, we should post that as a reel today. $232,000 was the purchase price I paid. $232,000. Sandra's making $5,000 for her bird dog fee. The wholesaler that's in SubTo, he made $20,000. He was DTS. What does DTS mean? What does that tell you? He went door knocking. He called the seller. He went to the appointment. Somehow, some way, he spent money to get in front of that seller. He deserves that $20,000. Okay. So what did they get this house under contract for? $232,000 minus $25,000. Okay. So $207,000 was the contract to the seller. And I'm buying that at $232,000. I'm going to end up flipping that for $425,000, and that looks like the greatest deal for me on the planet, doesn't it?
Yep.
Do you know how much money I'll make on this? $30,000. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? Yeah. How can Pace buy this for $232,000 and put it on the market for $425,000 and only make $30,000 net? Well, I'll tell you why. I got renovations, don't I? Yeah. Don't I have hard money interest? Don't I have private money interest? Don't I have closing costs? And then when I sell the property, don't I also have to pay the 10% to sell the property?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? See how real estate works and how many people are involved all the time? Okay. So I will net $30,000 on that fix and flip, which is less than ideal, but I was happy to see Sandra get her first deal done. Do you see if somebody owes, if the house is worth $400,000 on Zillow, like we talked about earlier, and the person owes $381,000, is there any possible way for me to buy that house on a cash offer? If they owe the bank $381,000, can I buy that house on a cash offer and make any money? It's physically impossible. And so when people are like, I'm a wholesaler, I'm like, oh, that's it? So like you're a kindergartner. You can only draw inside the lines. And they only gave you 3 colors, yellow, red, and blue. That's all you can handle is solving people that are able to get a 50-cent. Literally, we are buying houses 50 cents on the dollar as wholesalers when we're doing cash. That's kind of the number. It's around 50 cents on the dollar. Is every seller going to be willing to do 50 cents on the dollar? No. And that's where wholesalers have a really hard time scaling when they're only doing cash. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So SubTo solves a tremendous amount of problems that cash offers just can't solve. Again, what was the most important lesson I ever learned in real estate was find the bunnies and find a way to solve the bunnies. And that's how you make money. Now, too much money. Okay. When somebody's doing SubTo, here's the difference between SubTo and seller finance, okay? You ready for this? It's very simple. Too much is usually seller finance. Equity is SubTo. No equity is SubTo. They want too much money as a seller finance, okay? It's the difference between these words right here. Need equals SubTo. I need your solution. I need you to solve my problem. I need SubTo because it's the only thing that will work. Greed is seller finance. I want a higher number even though the property is not worth that. Okay? Give you a good example. This will be the last one and we'll wrap up, and I got to pause for the 3 o'clock SubTo call. And I'm calling sellers. So if you guys want to stick around and listen to me call sellers for a little bit, you're welcome to do that. How do you convince a SubTo or seller finance if they don't think SubTo is unethical? Stephanie, that means you must not be a SubTo member. You must be a gator because you should be in the daily dial. Do you guys know how many Zooms we have in SubTo a week?
A lot.
39 a week.
Yeah.
Every morning, 4 hours every morning, we do role playing. So if anybody ever has a question about how do I solve this problem, or hey, a seller told me this, or an agent told me this, is there any physical way that if 4 hours every morning. 2 hours we do East Coast Daily Dial, and then 2 hours we do West Coast Daily Dial. So 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. they do role playing, and they do live seller calls every day, Monday through Friday, for the last 5.5 years. Is there any physical way that a SubTo member can come to you and ask you a question about how do I overcome this objection?
No.
No. So when a SubTo student comes and asks me, hey, how do I overcome this objection? I'm like, you have not gone to the Daily Dial. How many new SubTo students just learned something valuable? Go to the SubTo calendar. There's 39 Zooms a week. None of them are identical. They're all uniquely different. 39 a week. Why do I do that? Because we are a community of diverse aspects, and so there should be diverse Zooms available to them. Very rarely do we do Q&As. It's, hey guys, come in here and learn how to generate leads. Hey guys, come in here and learn how to underwrite an RV park. Hey guys, come in here and do this. And we do 39 a week, on average 14 hours a day of live support. And the most important thing, you guys can see this right here on the screen. You see them networking in the side chat and going, hey, I needed this and I needed that?
We have a multi-cam.
Oh, okay. You guys can't see the Zoom chat. We have 350 people in here that have been networking and hanging out with each other live. This is community. So they're connecting with each other, becoming partners, finding deals, lending money to each other right now while I'm teaching. So if a SubTo member goes, hey, I'm really stuck. What? How? Could they be stuck? It's because they're watching the course and they're stuck in the course. Did they buy a course? Did they buy a mentorship? They joined a paid community, and they should be actively participating in the community. Okay, different conversation. So I've got 4 minutes to explain this. Too much, okay? A seller, you'll hear this all the time. People go, the seller wants so much money, they're crazy, they're out of their mind. Those are my favorite leads. Those are my favorite leads, okay? So what do? Here's a deal we've got. This is 160 units, 161 units in Tucson. Trevon's been down here. Some of you guys have edited this content. This seller, named Mark, owned these 161 units for 35 years. What happens with these sellers is the properties this is an apartment building. These sellers make so much money off of this, but what happens is lifestyle creep happens, and they rely on all the income from this 160. So guess what they don't do? They don't renovate, and they don't improve the property for 35 years, which means guess what they can't do to the rents? They cannot increase the rents. Then one day they wake up 35 years later and they go, man, I'm 74 years old. What am I doing changing toilets and light bulbs? This is crazy. So they call a broker. And the broker says, no problem. I think we could be crazy and list it for 20 million. I don't think it's worth 20 million, but let's go list it for 20 million and let's see what happens. They list it for 20 million. Well, guess what? The market is not going to buy it for 20 million. People are coming in and offering at 14 million and 15 million and whatever on cash because investors want good discounts, right? They then lower it to 19.5 million. They then lower it to 19 million. And that's when my team sees the deal and says, okay, they're lowering the price, which means they're getting lowball offers. Why don't we come in and offer $19.5 million and ask them to seller finance the deal? Do you think this seller who's been receiving $120,000 a month for 35 years, do you think he needs all the money right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so seller finance is this. It's greed. I want as much money as I possibly can get, and I don't want to pay it to the government. That's where seller finance comes in. So we came in and we structured a deal that looks like this. Okay, $19.5 million. Seller wanted a $5 million down payment. Where did I get that $5 million from? I brought in SubTo students and we all partnered on it. So SubTo students all invested this money in. The SubTo students own 70% of this investment for bringing 30% of, not even 30%, they brought 20% of the cash and they own 70% of the asset. That's pretty good for the SubTo students, right? This is the SubTo fund that you guys see Ryan and Phil walking around. They operate this asset.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've bought this property with them.
It's a great property.
Yeah.
This property nets $80,000 a month and gets distributed. That $80,000 goes to the investors every month. 80 grand. Freaking amazing asset. But the seller financed $14.5 million to us. So we make a payment to the seller every month. Let's see if I got math. We got $165,000 that comes in every month from the rents. We pay the seller on his 14.5. We pay him like 46 grand a month. We have maintenance and utilities and management teams and whatever else. And after everything's said and done, we net $80,000 a month. Did we go to a bank? Did we get a credit check? Did we get our W-2s checked? Did we get a tax return on any of this stuff? Or did the seller just allow us to make monthly payments to him? That's it. Okay. He wanted $5 million because he had another asset he was trying to buy. So he wanted some money to go buy another asset. And we were happy to give him 20% down payment because he gave us 4% seller finance for 15 years. We got a great deal with this. Okay. That's a heavier, bigger deal. I've done $100 million deals or $100 million deals, $110 million deals. The deals that I love more than anything else are RV parks. They're like $3 to $5 million deals. They make $20,000, $30,000 a month in our pocket. They're freaking amazing. And that's the next Zoom we're going to do right now.